I'm with Solutions 8, and today is your Google Ads Power Hour, where I talk to myself in my small room, and hopefully you all learn something. Hopefully someone shows up. I'm just kidding. We actually been having quite a good amount of subscribers and viewers, so this is it's been a lot of fun. Hopefully everyone's learning something. I'm hoping you're liking the new format. Um, and if this is poppy, as I remove my pop filter here, so if you're hearing like a pop, let me know. It's just getting in my way. I couldn't type. So hopefully this is gonna be good. But yeah, it's Dave says it's John. Hey Dave, it's Dave. How are you? Um, just gonna put this out there. The Ultimate Guide 2023 series is excellent. Oh, good. I'm glad that you're enjoying that. Yeah, we're doing a lot more education. 2023 is gonna be crazy. We've had a small delay in shooting, so look out for I think episode 3 and 4 to be coming soon. We're shooting again on Friday, so just had some schedule mishaps between Cosmo and myself, but hopefully it'll be good for you all. And today we have a kind of a cool topic today, and it's going to be talking about standard shopping, and it's going to be talking about how to do a deep dive in your campaigns to identify if what you're currently testing and what you're currently trying, regardless of what Google says, see if it's actually working. And the fun part about this is there is a way to lean into Google's algorithm to identify a path that can convert. And what I mean by that is in standard shopping, for example, says John, you have to be a little worried about AI and Google search. Not at all, actually. Really, actually, not at all, which is really cool because Google lies all the time, which is actually one of our topics today. And AI is going to take what Google says is truth. And that's where it'll be good for about 80% of the market, 70%, 80% of the market, the people that are not necessarily spending too much, but it's all about the metrics that you're looking at and if you believe those metrics. And I'll share with you kind of some damning things that Google will do that you don't necessarily see and ways to identify that. And I'm just going to use a standard shopping campaign to show you kind of what's the truth and what is a lie and how to identify that into a deep level. So there always is going to be a place for really good Google Ads marketers because Google Ads marketers don't always look at just Google Ads. And I think AI, first creating search ads, you make 15 headlines, it only uses 4. They have to be your keywords and your ad copy on your page. You don't really have to be good at writing ad copy to make decent ad copy. I'm not saying that there's not fantastic ad copywriters out there, but if you look at the conversion paths and it's like 27 different, paths, and you had 5 clicks on a search campaign and one on the, second click, the 9th click, the 13th click, the 24th click, what ad copy really won. So it's going to be more about the audience targeting and then also, your cold traffic versus warm traffic and your keyword and your placements, all that stuff. That is going to be fairly difficult for AI, at least within the next 1 to 2 years. And then if Topics API rolls out, everything gets reset anyway. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Dave, I'm actually really, really excited for it. I think it's going to enhance a really good marketer's capabilities, and it's going to be good enough for the majority of people, which that was automated bidding strategies. Remember, automated bidding strategies was supposed to wipe out manual. It's going to wipe out all the good ones, and it's just going to be fully automated. And then we found out that was a lie. So as Google changes, as AI tries to keep up, as both are using false data, it's going to be actually really fun to try to figure out the new puzzle. Because I got to tell you, it's getting a little bit not necessarily on the boring side, but pretty consistent, I guess I would say, which is good because you can leverage consistency. But there's always things that we can learn and always things that we can do that AI simply won't be able to see. And that's where we're going to get into the topic today. And I'm going to share a screen because this is going to be a lot of fun. So here we are. Wait, nope. There we go. So this is a account that we work on. And here's what's going to be, this is what's cool is in the last, I'm just going to put the 7-day period here between the 24th and the 30th. And we spent 162 grand, made 518,000. Yippee skippy. Everything looks fine. Now we're also going after very, very high amount of cold traffic. And that cold traffic is going to be here. Now, when this video goes live on our channel, it's going to be all blurred. So you're kind of seeing it here for the first time. So I'm not going to use the brand names or the company name. They'll all be blurred out. But in this account here, what you're going to see is a few different ad groups. There's 40 to be exact ad groups in this one standard shopping campaign. And there's two here that are now paused. And the reason why is when we looked at this 1 week from the 24th to the 30th, we found that there's kind of two outliers of everything. We found that there's $118 cost per conversion and $133 cost per conversion. Now that's true and false. Now, what I mean by it's false is these are not the products that were sold. That's the first fallacy that people believe when they separate their ad groups by any sort of non-brand cold traffic, top of funnel, or sorry, even bottom of the funnel, but non-brand cold traffic. They're going to believe that this is how much it costs to sell that product. That is where this is false. It also looks odd compared to everything else. On everything else, we have a $82 cost per conversion on average. We have, 70, 58, 87, 71, 81, 71, 70, 62. And then this one is 118 and 133. So that made me think there's something going on here that does not look right. And there's probably some things here that we can change, even though it's a 1.18 conversion value by cost and a 1.08 conversion value by cost. And our average is a 1.09 on essentially first click non-brand cold traffic. Conversion rates look good too. So what's going on? Why are these so much more expensive? Sometimes 2x more expensive than some other campaigns. Well, this is where you have to pop out your handy dandy UA, and I'm not looking forward to GA4 because it's not this simple. But for the next 4 months, hopefully you can get a jump start before Google just rips the good reporting that UA used to give you out from underneath you, and you're left with nothing. I'm just kidding. GA4 it's getting better, but I don't like when Google forces you to do something when you don't even use that data anyway. But here's the cool part. So let's do this. First thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to pull out our analytics account. And inside of analytics, what you're going to want to do is go into conversions, e-commerce, and product performance. And this will tell you what is actually selling. Google Ads will not tell you what is actually selling. Google Analytics will tell you what is actually selling. This is the first part, Dave, that AI is probably going to miss because they're going to take the data that is integrated from Google and not the data that Google integrates and then basically necessarily your analytics as to what's sold, and then cross-reference that with direct and organic traffic in the back end of your CMS to build a good conversion path, especially with view attribution, because it just simply doesn't have the data just yet. It's getting there. It's getting close, but I still think we're a ways away. But check this out. If we go into the conversions, e-commerce, product performance, the first thing I need to do is find the Google Ads ID, and I need to separate that. So you had a secondary dimension of your Google Ads campaign ID, and now you got to find that campaign ID. So then you got to go back into your Google Ads, and you have to go back to your all campaign level, and you have to overlay the column called Google Ads campaign ID. I've already did that, but if you want to search for the column, it's right here called campaign ID. Once that campaign ID is enabled, then you're looking at the campaign ID of the campaign that you're trying to evaluate, which is right here. So grab that campaign ID, then you go back to analytics, and then you go into the advanced and you said include Google Ads campaign containing, and then this campaign ID here. Then you click apply. Okay, first step is done. Now we're going to see during the time period that I was looking at before, which is the 24th to the 30th, what actually sold. So I have to change this from the 24th to the 30th. Excellent. Now we're even. And then what I need to do is I need to then use the same ad groups product names and do a filter, do a search. So as I go into this one, I'm going to use this name here because they're both they're very similar. But I'm going to start with this one here. Again, I'm not going to name the company because it's all blurred out, but I'm going to take that product name because that's also the product name in the feed. So I'm going to edit and say, and add another dimension that the product is containing that product name there. So now I'm filtering two things. How many of that product actually was sold out of that campaign? I'm going to cross-reference it. So what you see here is that we have $9,956 worth of sales of that product. Awesome. We made 10 grand in sales. What does Google Ads say? Google Ads says that we made 17,796. Uh-oh. That's about half. If we take 9,9 and 17,7, let's just call it 50%. It's a little bit less than that, but we'll call it 50%. So only half of the products that that I was trying to sell sold. That's not good. So I have 65 purchases, 66 in quantity. How many does Google say I have? 127. Uh-oh. Still have. I actually sold more of a different product than I did of this product itself. So let's start to get a little bit of a ROAS now. Now I have a $10,000 in value. I'm just going to use round numbers. So I'm going to pull out the calculator here real quick. And then I'm going to say, okay, if I have $10,000 in sales, it cost me $15,000 to make that. What is that ROAS? So 10,000 and 15,000 and 10,000. It's about a 66%. It's 2/3. So I have a 66% ROAS on the products that I was trying to sell. Google says I have 118. Why? Well, the reason why this is having such a high CPA of 140 is because if you look at the scenario here that everyone has to see, is you're taking a product and you're delivering it to non-brand cold traffic, and they click on that ad and they get there and they say, I want to buy something, but only half of the people are actually buying that product. The other half are buying something else. Well, I'm marketing all products. So because I have ad spend to all of my products, just in general, why would I force them about equal amount of ad spend to the product that is not selling as a product that is selling at a good CPA? So it was a way for us to say, why is this not selling? It's not that it's not, why is this not selling? It's not that it's not a product that people want to buy, because the results look even. The results are even. It's getting about the same ROAS and about the same conversion rate. But you're taking a path that says, okay, take a non-brand cold traffic user, bring them into the campaign, and then show them this product. It's twice as expensive because they say nope, and then they go and they buy something else. And you're like, well, it's within goal. It looks good. Let's just scale that up. There's two ad groups in this campaign as an example that you're saying, okay, I'm going to force that sale. And then they keep saying nope. And they keep saying that at scale. You're taking 9 out of the 11 ad groups that are good. And then you're taking 2 that are not working. And you're just dumping in more daily ad spend to those and saying, good enough. Try harder. Well, what are you losing because of that? I'll share with you. We turned that off. And this is what ended up happening. So if I go back to this view here, and we take a look at when we paused it on the 30th, if I take the 31st through the 2nd, and I compare that just to the previous period, and I look back at the results, now what I see is I've spent 14% less. So my cost went down. Why? That was my second most popular ad group, by the way. That was the second highest spend was my ad group. So I saved myself $5,600 by not spending that in that ad group. And it will start to spend in other ad groups. It just only happened a few days ago. Then what happened to my conversions? Well, my conversions went up 62 more conversions. So I spent $5,000 less, got 62 more sales. And now I went from 511 up to 573. Well, there are lower AOV products, though. So aren't we losing money? No. If you look at the conversion value, we actually are making a little bit more profit because I'm spending $5,600 less to make $631 less. So now the delta between the $631 and the $5,600, I've made $5,000 essentially more if you're taking cost versus profit, or cost versus gross profit. So I have 62 more new customers for $5,000 less, and I've netted, or I've grossed $5,000 more. And what happened to now my ROAS? Well, my ROAS got 15% better because I'm taking out the inefficiency. My CPA by time, not including time, or not looking at time lag, is actually 23% better. So my actual cost is now down to 60 rather than 78 when I'm looking at my conversion time. But the CPA here is actually if I wait, I don't even know where I put my CPA column. Anyway, there's my cost per conversion column. My cost per conversion said 86 down to 69. In actuality, it's actually 60. So this has gone down $18, 23% less expensive. My value per conversion, because those are higher AOV products, only went down $7 total. So what's nice is I'm making more money. I'm spending less money. I have a better ROAS. I have a better CPA. And why? From pausing that, well, wait a minute. Aren't you not going to sell those products anymore? Probably. I'm probably not going to sell those products too much. The reason why those products were not selling is because those products were about twice as expensive as everything else in that campaign. This campaign, though, is going to non-brand cold traffic. So this is the first introduction to this brand. So what that means is that when people get to the site for the first time, they say, do I want to take the $80 version of this product that is slightly smaller and may not have all of the other products that are associated around that product with it for the first time? I'm going to dip my toe into this company. It's an extremely competitive industry. So what people are saying is, I'm going to start with that. And if I like that, I will move myself up to that. So now we have an opportunity to still upsell, probably cheaper because we have an existing user who like a product that we have to spend a lot less than $125 on to get them to upsell themselves. But now I have more new customers in order to try that on. 62 to be exact in 3 days. So we're looking at, do I take a person and bring them right to the most expensive product and say, shucks, they didn't buy, whatever, good enough? Or do I remove that barrier to entry, allow the ad spend in its entirety to go to lower price products? And then when the lower price products then do sell, I can upsell them on maybe a remarketing campaign, an email campaign, a YouTube, a display, a Discover, a GSP, an email. I don't know why I didn't use my pinky there, an email. So that email campaign is going to be free. What is a MRR on email? Nothing. It's completely free. You can actually now offer an incentivization to get that person to upsell. Why? Because you're saving $125 per conversion. When I don't have to waste $125 per $200 sale, I can take a $125 loss on an upsell. I won't, but I can now offer a 25% off discount on an upsell because I'm not throwing that money out the window. Still going to spend the same. I'll have more new customers. It'll be profitable. And now I have actually a delta. And to be exact, of what I did not spend in that campaign that last 3 days, I saved $5,600. I can now spend $5,600 if I wanted to, incentivizing an existing audience and upselling them to that product because they originally came in and bought the cheaper product and now they're at a higher volume. All we're doing is offering a smaller price product at a better conversion rate, making the same amount of money. And now I have more upsell opportunity, and I bankrolled that because I've spent less forcing a path that didn't work. This is global. Every campaign does this. Every campaign. Performance Max, your listing groups do it. Standard shopping campaigns do it. Your DSA campaign does it. You send to a landing page, they go to a different landing page to buy. This method of using your analytics and overlaying your Google Ads campaign ID, if you have good organization and everything's siloed and you're able to identify the search term going to this product, going to that product page, if that all looks good and that's not happening, it sticks out as an outlier to you and you say, aha, something's wrong there. The CPA of those users is artificially high. Is it a twice the expensive product? Yeah. Well, that must be why, right? Sure, good enough. Dig a little deeper, you find that your ROAS isn't at 118%, it's 66%, and you're actually selling other products you already have ad spend going to. Why? Just stop marketing that product. Use it in different ways. Cool. That was pretty much the whole lesson. I know it only took like 20 minutes, but I know there's a few people watching. We'll probably do some Q&As. I think that this is a good enough lesson to kind of share with you all. It can work everywhere. Here's actually one of the things I think is actually pretty interesting is Google is going to take a click on a product, and if anything on that site sells, it is going to attribute it back to the ad, aka the product that earned the click. It's not going to tell you that product sold. Few ways that you can actually identify this too is the value per conversion of the product that's actually trying to be sold. So for an example, and I won't pull up that actual product because I can't blur it. It's too big. But if I look at a product here, and I'm just going to say this is let's just say a $80 product, for example, and I look at the value per conversion is $80 good. And if this is let me do this here. The last 14 days. Here's a good way to identify this too. Is this product here is $200. The one that I'm looking at is a $200 product. The value per conversion is 132. If that product was actually selling frequently, that would be $200 or closer to it. But because the value of the conversion is so low, it means that's not the product that was selling. Unless you're running crazy discounts all the time and you're like, hey, my $100 product's always marked down to 60 and the average value per conversion of that product is 60, then great, then you nailed it. But if it's like $100 and it's marked down to 60 and your average value per conversion is 41, there's an issue there. There's a problem there. the value per conversion is when you're talking about cold traffic. If you're getting a 1, that's good. It means that your product, if it has good LTV, your product is $65. Your product is $76. You're selling it for 62, and now you're getting 1.23. Good. This is just gonna be repeatable. If it has good LTV, you're in land of milk and honey. You're making your money back. Your cost per acquired new customer is 0. Potentially, if you have a 25% profit margin, your cost per, or 75% profit margin here, 72 to be exact, your cost of acquiring that new customer is free. You spent as much money as you made to acquire that new customer. If you have LTV, scale to the moon. People purchase 2, 3, 4 times a year. You get, it says, hey, these people are going to buy 5 times this year. Can I give you all of them for free for the first time? No, I don't want that. I need to make 3x of my first time customer. Okay, you can do it, but you're going to spend 1/10 of what you would spend. So yeah, I never understood why Google doesn't put the conversion on the product that sold versus the one they clicked on to get to the site. You know, it's so funny, Dave, about that too, is they have no way to measure it that that a person would find consistency on. It would say, okay, so I turn up this product and then that one sell. How did I get 0 clicks and 27 sales? That doesn't make sense. And 95% of advertisers out there could not make that connection. They just still wouldn't be able to make it. And if they did make it, they couldn't control it because it's completely situational day over day. And then they're only measuring on ROAS anyway, so it doesn't really even matter. And then most of it's brand too. So yeah, I have a big problem with that too, where just because that product got a click does not mean that that product sold. So if you start to scale that up and you wonder why things are not working, that's a good indicator of as to why. Cool. I mean, I'll go into Q&A, and if not, maybe we'll just kind of end it here. But yeah, I'd love to see if there's any thoughts. Maybe we'll start off a Q&A about this. If there's no chats that come through, we'll kind of keep it short and sweet. And usually I like kind of do Q&A to help at the end of something. But yeah, see, was John able to see my question? Joe, I don't think I did, actually. I'm so sorry. I'm looking at my list here. It's fairly quiet today because I think everyone's just kind of in learning mode. But Joe, if you want to paste that here, happy to help. We have some time to kind of go through any sort of chats if we want to. But I think that, kind of the new direction that we've been taking the videos are things that can be evergreen and things that can just kind of teach people. So hopefully this is applicable to everyone because it happens in literally every campaign, even brand. If you're setting brand to your homepage, they didn't buy things on your homepage. They bought something. What did they buy? Find that out. We're not good marketers if you can't tell the client, hey, when they search this, they buy that product. Fairly simple if you think about it too. So jump all the way to your question comes in, but I'll answer Jones if there's nothing else, and we'll give you all the kind of time back if you want to. Hopefully this is good. PBC Builder says, John, I'm grateful for your availability and advice. Appreciate it. I'm grateful that you're here. For restricted categories in e-commerce where dynamic remarketing audiences are not permitted. I know that there's going to be a part 2 of that question, so I'll hang tight. Okay, is it generally the case that the holistic benefit of Google claims to provide in PMax, especially the most valuable predictive component YouTube video views, is rendered much less effective? Not necessarily. Typically, when we're talking about the restricted categories, I would imagine that you might be talking about things like CBD. And not HIPAA. It depends on how restricted this restricted category is. For HIPAA violations, PMax bypasses all that. You could do dynamic remarketing on HIPAA in PMax and not in standard shopping. I've actually was able to show up search categories in PMax for Latisse, not our client, no relationship with them at all. I needed it though because it was a competitor, but I was able to get Latisse keywords to show up and get a great conversion rate because I was the only one there because my standard my search campaign, I could not use Latisse in the headline and I could not use Latisse as a keyword. It was banned from Google. It would not allow that keyword to show. It was restricted. Run PMax against that as a DSK and bam, I get 80% of my sales coming from that Latisse keyword. So I was able to get around that. But if we're talking about CBD, you're dead in the water. So let me know kind of, oh yeah. So remarketing is not available. PMax will get around that. It will. And I've spent millions on it and I'm not even lying. I have the case. I have the screen share. I can even share with you right now. PMax got around it perfectly. I couldn't even upload a remarketing list. The remarketing list would get instantly disapproved and rejected. However, in PMax, even using NorthBeam, I can see that these are frequent purchasers and people that are on the site before, after getting 5 clicks from direct, organic, and even Facebook, because Facebook, they were able to get kind of a content pivot there. Performance Max was remarketing them. So Performance Max will get around all remarketing restrictions that I've tried so far, and it's been about 12. So just know that, test that. I would try that for sure. Google will never come out and publicly say it. You cannot find any help document. I had to find it out by digging, but it does absolutely do it. Jason James. Hey, Jason. It's so funny seeing you here. How do you like to approach remarketing with standard shopping, high AOV campaigns with almost no repeat customers? It's interesting, right? The standard shopping, high average order value with no repeat. I think I know the campaign that you're talking about. I would run essentially YouTube as much as I possibly could from a frequency perspective, but only for about 30 days. Depending upon the profit margin of the high AOV. So if you have a $5,000 sale, but you make 10% on it, so you have $500 profit, and you get, $2 or $3 clicks, I would spend another $50 on that person in remarketing on YouTube, with as many different variations of explaining why this is a really nice product, and you're gonna be very happy shipping, setup, instruction manuals, help support, whatever it may be. They're gonna make a very expensive decision. They need to know that you're there no matter what. And I'd pay dearly on YouTube to get that done. I don't like display. So I would say YouTube is fluffing that up as much as possible. Client testimonials, knowing that they're not the first person to make this $5,000 expensive decision, and say, well, that was a mistake. Like, we had tons of other people that love their product. Has changed their daily lives, and they are super happy, and you will be too. Think about the bicycle company. What is it called? I forget the name of the bike and the treadmills. Okay, I'm gonna have to be stupid here for a second. Hold on. Peloton. So think about Peloton. Peloton, all they do is show people using it, how happy they are. No one's really ever said this bike has a nice 3-piece crank that are made of 7075 T6 aluminum. No one cares. It's like, I was fat, now I'm skinny, now I'm happy. The more you can show that to a person, what I'm saying is like that type of messaging, where it's the status and the daily life and their feelings. The more you can do that rather than the have and have nots, you can acquire more higher AOV sales, and then prove that they're not also the first person to do it. Hi, John. Quick question regarding PMax and running parallel search campaigns. Will search be diluted by PMax? Yes, in 2 ways. One, they're going to fight over the first click. They're going to be going after the same search terms. They will. So know that your overlap on the search categories is probably going to be 80 to basically 100%. What campaign wins? Google's going to try to make PMax win more often. Now, they can run together. Sometimes you'll find that PMax does so poorly and Google and the search does so well that PMax never takes over. If you find that they're about even over time, sometimes months, PMax will just suck up all of it. And then forget about an automated bidding strategy that's restricted, like T-Rows and TCP ad search. You're just going to restrict that too much, and PMax is like, well, I got it. I'll take it from here because I can spend the money on all the channels, and search can't with the T-Rows or TCPA. So PMax will take it over. Now, the other part, though, that you got to get really concerned about is the mixed in attribution. So PMax is going to do the remarketing and the brand. So you're going to get a search from a cold traffic non-brand, I'm just going to guess, person that's going to be like, best dog shampoo. And then they're going to come to the site, and then PMax takes over from there. PMax will get the branded. PMax gets the remarketing. PMax will show more ads to the user on YouTube, which engaged view conversion is going to take credit for as well. Just because your search campaign doesn't look good doesn't mean that your PMax isn't looking good because your search campaign is quality users. You might be feeding that. So don't compare the two. Find out how they're working together and know that they will fight on the first click, and PMax takes over after any search campaign's first click. It will by default. So just because of the usual return paths that people take, which is remarketing and brand. Dave, I have 2 companies. One selling bathing suit for kids, then the other leotards for girls' gymnastics. How much of a $50 a day budget would you put towards PMax or shopping? I would put all of it towards non-brand standard shopping. I would. And I would run. Here's the problem is PMax, if it's kind of starting off, it's going to take a little while to identify what's good and what's not. if the company's been in business for a long time, it also means that these people are going to have a lot of return and branded traffic. So both these scenarios get fairly dangerous when you're talking about how PMax is going to bring you new customers. Now, if you say, hey, I don't care if they're new, repeating, return, as long as ROAS is good, PMax all day. But if you say, hey, I want to find the majority of new customers that I can optimize and scale up, and then eventually maybe put into PMax, standard shopping for sure. Let me just make sure PPC builders. I know that. Let me just read this here. Okay, I think we got all of those through. Yep. Do you need to run a YouTube outbound to run YouTube remarketing? Nope. So YouTube remarketing you choose your audience like display remarketing. It's the same exact audience you would run on display. You're just putting a video out and putting it in front of them. So no, you don't need to run YouTube outbound to run YouTube marketing. You can actually take an existing website that has 10,000 organic users a month, and you can just launch only a YouTube remarketing campaign. That's a very viable strategy. We actually start a lot of companies out that way by just simply making their campaign more effective and see how much effective YouTube or how effective remarketing is at overall increasing their MER. If Google misses conversions, does it affect how ads are delivered performance-wise? Sort of. So I will give you, I gotta be very careful which one I can show live on this one, because there is some things there publicly traded companies that I just could not get caught with. Let me do that. All right, perfect. I got one I can share. Hold on. This is how you have to do it with loss of attribution. It's best if you know how much is losing. It really is. But I'll share with you how I manage it. Let me just get this set up here for you to see. Sorry, just give me a moment. I'm just Google slow and I gotta get to the page. All right, perfect. I'll share this one here. Select a window. Okay. Here's a campaign that I know I'm just crushing it on, that because they have a return search and there is branded in here, that this one sort of takes over. Now I'm getting 7,300 and making 12. That's not true. I'm actually making about 21,000. I'm missing a good amount because a lot of these people are not converting inside of standard shopping like Google Ads. And I've proven this. I even posted on LinkedIn. So what happens is I look at this thing and say, okay, standard shopping campaign, I'm spending $700 a day. What is my ROAS? 28%. Wow, that looks horrible. So when I look at the 28% ROAS, all I do is say, okay, I need 20% because I know it's doing good. So I'm basically adjusting down artificially because the system is not seeing all the conversions. So if it says I need an A, but I'm thinking I'm going to get the grade of a C. So wait, you think you get a C, but you get an A? Yeah, try to get C's. That's all I did. And what's nice is if you go to Google, and this is a company here, I won't say the name, but what you'll see is if you go to Google and type in like most comfortable, my client. If you type in best, this keyword here, and you see my client. So I know it's working well. My 20% T ROAS is getting me about a 200% T ROAS. It's just a long sales cycle, and everything else that is going on in that campaign is taking all the credit. But I'm spending the majority of my money on that keyword or that campaign because I can see in the click paths and through Northbeam that that's all where all of our conversions are coming from. So you artificially lower your goal to artificially achieve the lower return on ad spend. So Google thinks everything's going great. And here's what's kind of fun. I'll share screen here. This is that client's Northbeam account. In that last 7 days, for example, I'm getting a 3 MER. So I'm spending 9, making 30. And so when you look at Google here, it shows a 2, even though I'm actually getting a little bit better. But I know that all of the ways that people are, usually don't have a whole bunch of new users coming organically and spending $700 or $6,300 and getting 28% more conversions if I'm not trying to also get more new traffic that are going to return in either way. I need to keep a MER above 3. If you look at the spend, $9,600 of that, or $8,300 of the $9,600 is coming from Google Ads. So I'm measuring MER. Google's losing so much attribution My 2 from a click is giving me a 3 MER, which is getting me a 20% in Google. So that's how I'm saying is how do you measure it? Well, you have to measure everywhere. I like MER because that's what the client makes and that's what I can control. I don't care if Google says it's failing. When my client's happy and profitable, I could really care less of what Google says. It's basically saying the person that knows 1/5 of the story is dictating what I spend for my client. Not going to do it. It's stupid. So just know that if it's missing attribution, all you have to do is set the goal to that missing attribution. You miss 50%, use 50% of the goal. You're missing 75%, use 75 or 25% of the goal. It's very simple. You're just essentially inverting what you're actually getting to what your target is as your target. And then test it. If I'm looking at non-brand cold traffic and I'm owning Google for my client and it's coming out as new cold traffic that's converting, I don't care what Google says. That's why I like MER. All right. How does shopping determine shipping times from your connected carrier through GMC? Fluctuates for us and our competitors. Yep. So as your carriers dictate your delivery times. So if ground is running behind, your shipping times will be, extended. And it depends on who your shipping service is inside of GMC. They dictate your shipping times. You recommend focusing on MER. How do you do? Oh, wait, hold on. You recommend focusing on MER. How do you do when you report to the client for MER? Data to report, NorthBeam. What do you recommend? Typically, it's all of the above. So I will most often take all conversion value in the back end of their CMS, Shopify, BigCommerce, doesn't matter. I will take all of that conversion value, and then I will calculate all of their spend. And ta-da, that's it. MER. Very simple. Everything you spent, everything you made. If you say, yeah, but email, okay, perfect. Now you have to go deep and say, now who is new in that email? What offer did you send? And then where did those original users that actually took that offer come from? And then how much did you spend to get them? You can go deep if you wanted to. MER is not here's exactly what happened. MER is just everything that we're doing is profitable. Because Google says, you're making 20% of your money. No, I'm making 3 times my money. You're just not seeing it all. Do they come back organically? Yes. Am I splitting my conversions out in NorthBeam between my organic and my paid? Yes. Does that mean I'm getting a 3, but it's been reduced down to 2 because it's sharing clicks with other channels? Yes. I don't care. I know that my 90% of that spend is giving me a good MER because people are just going to return the way they want to return. That's okay. That's fine. I'm not going to force them to return through the brand and take the credit for it. I lose out of my MER. Yep. See, Jason says, thanks, John. Peloton. Yeah. Jason, yeah. Peloton. That's what I was trying to think. I went halfway stupid there for a minute. Actually, I'm pretty much all stupid all the time, but it's fun. I have actually applied John's YouTube marketing and remarketing advice since 1st January, ignoring the CPA for YouTube ads, and boom, overall conversions increased. It actually works. Thanks, man. That's awesome. I love hearing success stories like that. When you ignore what Google is incorrectly telling you and just kind of go back to good old fashioned marketing, why it's like, this is the audience that needs to see this cool ad. It will work. It will work. Don't let Google dictate. How about this? Don't let Google act smarter than you. It means you're in the wrong business. It is. If a bolt breaks off the engine, does it mean that you're a bad mechanic? No, the tool's broken. So just know that you don't have to listen to Google, and you can also educate the client on where to look. So, Hassan, that's awesome to hear, man. So cool. Next. The bottom of free by 9.1, for example, I assume it's in GMC. How do we have a shopping show faster shipping times consistently versus our competitors? Right now, it's fluctuating. So it's going to be dependent on the service that you offer. So, for example, Joe, if you say, "Hey, we ship UPS, and we can do we can do 1-day shipping, 2-day shipping, business shipping, or ground," and ground is like 12 days. Google's going to say, "Get it by day 13," because it's not going to be dependent upon what services you offer. It's going to be dependent upon what the average time is. So if you said, no, every single thing on our website has to go next day air, your shipping times will be to get it by next day. It's just going to be dependent upon what the shipping time of the carrier is going to be. And Hassan says, from one of our main clients. That's awesome, man. I'm so happy to hear that. Emmanuel, it's been over 3 weeks since we restarted the ads after holiday break. and the ads seem to start going better. But now they're almost dead for last week. Emmanuel, what this means to me is that's doing too much remarketing. Typically, what happens when you're using automated targeting, it says, hey, there's been no ad spend that Google can take attribution for of the existing traffic that's on the site. So Google comes in and says, cool, 72 people that are actually close to the buying experience right now. Remarket, a little bit more brand, and then some cold traffic, and then boom, I am awesome. I'm assuming. Don't say this is actually happening, but this is what I see very common. And then once it burns to that audience, it says, cool, I haven't marketed it for a few weeks. Where's all the other people? Well, you just sucked up 3 weeks worth of, or a month worth of no paid ad spend traffic. You burned through it. Go create some new traffic. Well, that's going to have a bad ROAS. I know. That's why we don't listen to Google. So that might be happening if you're using things like PMax or any sort of smart targeting. If you're using like non-brand cold traffic, there's something else wrong there. Maybe you've sold a product that went out of stock. Could be a whole myriad of things. But that may be what you're seeing with automated targeting, which is typically what people use most often nowadays. Follow on no remarketing question for, follow up on no remarketing question for, yep. You are saying that no remarketing restricted situation is superseded by some special mechanism in PMax that mimics remarketing. Yes, it's actually just the functionality of Performance Max in general. Performance Max does not need to have a specific tag or specific audience that is uploaded or created by you. It creates its own. It will do its own remarketing. And that functionality does not get killed by itself. I don't know why. Don't quote me on this because I'm not saying that it's happening like next week. I just have data for the last year that says this does, and it's still going on. So just know that no remarketing, you don't even need to have an audience. As long as a tag is set up and you're feeding yourself ecom prodigy, and ecom prodigy will fire whether remarketing is available or not. Ecom prodigy will fire, and that's what Google uses. It doesn't actually create an audience. It kind of bypasses that. Will Google fix it in the future? Oh yeah, I guarantee you will fix it in the future. But for now, it's been working well. Especially when I was the only one remarketing for a prescription eyelash serum. It was amazing. I was literally like, as it was a small little company, I was almost as popular as a multi-$100 billion medical company. So it was amazing. Rainly. Now we lost a lot to Latisse. I'm not gonna lie, they're a better company than the time we were marketing, but it worked. What could we do? It's 2 PMax campaigns and 2 standard search each for 2 main categories of products as well. High ticket chimneys and fireplaces. Check Mer. Emmanuel, the only thing I'm not going to say that one. Here's the thing is you can have one that looks horrible and one that does really, really well. Like my campaign that I just showed an example, and your Mer's good. Fine. You're going to need to find a way that this is working together so you can manipulate it, but it may work amazingly well. And it might be like, hey, these new cold traffic campaigns like search and shopping are bringing in a whole bunch of new users. We're getting all the brand return traffic and all the remarketing through PMax. These two working together has built a solid little funnel of new cold traffic that has just enough remarketing at a high ROAS that this works together. Nailed it. I still have campaigns that run like that today. But just know that you need to understand how it's working. So you don't say, this search campaign looks like it has a bad CPA. Let's kill it. Don't do that. Look at Mer first. Understand the flow. And then see how they're going to attribute it. And then test it by saying, if this works, I can take the failing campaign and increase it. Does Mer stay the same and my volume go up? If so, nailed it. So you just have to understand the flow between those 2 traffic points. If we print the shipping label faster, will Google know? No, it actually takes the shipping times, not the processing times. So just know that. John, Costin pretty much trashed SEO the other day with ChatGPT coming. Wonder if you feel the same. Actually, yeah, I do. We used to be an SEO agency. So for people that don't know, I did SEO for years. So I do know backlinking, spammy backlinks. I understand, your anchor text and link juice. I get that all very well. If you want to feature your focus keyword at least 4 times in the first 200 words, have blog posts at 800 words minimum. Right now, ChatGPT 3 is still fairly identified by Google. Google, of given enough time, can penalize you for that. However, ChatGPT 4 is coming out that has 75 or 7 trillion parameters, and ChatGPT 3 only has 75 billion. So it's going to grow by parameters by like 1,000. And Google's like, we're gearing up to penalize you. And then this thing just way outpaces it. So I really think that content creators are they're going to need to change strategy a bit, honestly. I think the days of just writing blogs to be written, it will be commoditized soon. It's happened a little bit. What I mean by that, and I hope I'm not offending anybody, but what happened was we took a really fantastic content writer and then they offshored it to a fairly fantastic content writer because of it, maybe a language barrier. I'm not saying that out of the country is worse. I'm saying the language barrier is usually an issue, but it was good enough that you could edit it, make it good. And now we're then kind of offshored it again to AI. It's not going to be as good as the two in people. It's not going to be as good as the expert content writer in native language. It's not going to be as the expert content writer that can be bilingual, but it could be supplemented heavily. So my fear there from a content and SEO perspective is if Google can't keep up with the parameters that GPT-4, Google is not going to be able to identify if it was AI written or if it was person written, because Google's built-in latent semantic indexing that it uses to identify language is going to categorically is going to take a categorical approach to identifying language. So if I say this is the best red high heel, and this high heel that is red is amazing, and to wear this red high heel with a dress feels great, and then Google's going to say red high heel, dress shoe. Perfect. So those two are the same to Google. Well, what happens when AI can be close enough with synonyms to Google's language indicator? Google built in the inefficiency to identify between AI and non-AI when ChatGPT 4 comes out. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff. Right now it's set to flat rate pulling from Shopify API. I don't think it's a carrier. Should GMC photo be similar to competitor? Here's what I would say, Joe, is this I can't solve this for you on this. I'm not trying to brush you off. We've run into the same issue 1,000 times. And what we've done is hire a third-party ship rate company. I think it was Ship Hero is really good. Ship Hero, ShipHero. Ship Hero can actually override shipping times from the carriers, and that's the source. So what happened is we were always missing out on opportunities in our scorecard. It's like you're 58% longer shipping times than all of your competitors. So we had Ship Hero and said 3 days. And then Google's like, okay, your connection to your shipping carrier says 3 days. I'm going to have to use that. It can be 5, but you can also select the $1 option. So that Ship Hero integration bypassed what was coming from directly from FedEx UPS. I don't know when you say flat rate if it's going to a carrier. You'd have to actually go to the carrier themselves and say, through this integration, what is your average shipping times? And they'll be able to tell you. But that's the GMC is where it will come from. It has to. It will not come from your site, period. It's not possible. It has to come through your GMC. Your source of the shipping times, that's where you either leave it up to possibly interpretation or an average, or you use a third-party tool that you can overwrite and get those shipping times exact. Or you have to offer only that day's shipping, 2 day, 1 day, whatever it may be. It says remarketing campaign alongside PMax. What campaign is remarketing under, since it's technically an audience segment, right? When you talk remarketing campaign, what campaign are you referring to? Is dynamic remarketing the same thing? So no. So in remarketing campaign alongside PMax, I don't run a remarketing campaign alongside PMax at all. PMax will default win pretty much all remarketing. You might squeak out a couple dollars a week out of like a YouTube campaign or something that's not really display. But when I say squeak out a couple dollars, I mean, you can spend probably a couple $100 a day on YouTube, because typically PMax doesn't remarket too heavy into YouTube unless everything else fails, which it will eventually then eat into your YouTube budget if display fails. So I don't necessarily run remarketing alongside of PMax. PMax is just way too good at remarketing because that's the functionality of it. It's trying to get low cost, cheap CPC with high purchase intent users and brand. That's its job. That's why it raises its own ROAS and people just think it's good. So I would say that I don't run remarketing. If I'm going to run remarketing, PMax is completely killed. Dynamic remarketing or regular marketing, I completely kill PMax because PMax can run dynamic remarketing and display remarketing. That's why it makes you upload 20 images. Cool, Manuel. One more, if that's okay. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Joe, I missed one. Does campaign priority matter when shopping, when running alongside PMax with the same SKU? Nope. PMax defaults to highest. There's low, medium, and high. PMax is one level above that. So it won't work. They just by default say if PMax and campaign, PMax win by default. It used to be also that if you're running a PMax campaign and exact search would take over. That didn't work either. It just wins by default. Manuel, one more if that's okay. Yeah, sure. Facebook ads are also dead for the last week. We checked and no issues with the website. Could it be the market? The previous years were pretty okay during this time period. Man, I don't know. Not to pitch you on consultation, but I usually take an hour to investigate things like this and then see if I identify it. That's what I literally do all day long too with my company. Is it market? Is it remarketing? Did ecom priority fall off? Did something happen to the site slow down? Is there a GMC issue? Yeah, it could be a myriad of things. Did auto apply recommendations change my bidding strategy? But then and Facebook was doing a little bit too much remarketing, but it wasn't remarketing. It was actually top of funnel, but I didn't exclude my website traffic. I only excluded my converters. So that I didn't exclude the website traffic. Facebook was actually starting to show more often to existing website users, even though it was called top of funnel. I mean, I swear to God, I can go down rabbit holes this way. I can't help on just on the chat here. I'm not pitching you on consultation, but I would really need that time to really investigate too much. So I'm sorry, I couldn't help exactly. If it is the market though, um, it could be. Here's what I think I would say. If it is market, check your auction insights. See if you're the only person still bidding aggressive. If you see all of a sudden, like week over week, that people start to back off, it means that they might be saving their pennies, and you should be too because demand's down. Supply is down, and demand has to go down because you have to pay for that demand. If the supply is down, the paying for demand goes down. When supply goes up, paying for it goes up. So that's where I would look and to see if market conditions hold true. If all of a sudden you're now like 99% search for share and everyone's like 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and they're all like kind of equal competitors, it could be that you're potentially overspending. So just check that for sure. Jim says, bless your knowledge. Yep. Appreciate it. Don, I missed a few weeks. Are the knowledge bombs now pre-recorded videos? No, we're still here. What happens is I actually do I deliver a lesson and then we go into Q&A. Going into just Q&A, in my opinion, was a little bit disconnected for the majority of users. So not everyone got to learn something. So we're doing today. Today I shared and taught how to look at your standard shopping or pretty much any campaign and know that Google is not telling the exact honest truth between what product sold. They'll tell you what product got a click and what a sale took place at what value. So overlaying campaign IDs, going through analytics, and then identifying where a person came from and what they bought is what we taught today in order to optimize a standard shopping campaign. And then I shared the before and after results. So that's what we're doing. And then that only took me like 20 minutes as I talk 1,000 miles an hour. Now we're doing Q&A for fun. Then we got 8 minutes left. James, when dealing with clients who have markets in multiple countries, do you find it easier to manage all markets in one account or one account per market? Advantages, disadvantage. I find actually no difference really, honestly. Sometimes it's easier with different accounts because your feed is just really simple. It's like develop a language feed to that website, in that .co.uk or whatever it is. It's easier to manage because they're not really going to overlap. You can then crowdsource your data. Hey, in the United States, this keyword works good. In the UK, it doesn't really work good, but the UK actually works well with this keyword. What if I tried the positive performing UK keyword in the US? So you're sharing data. Yeah, it's easier just to flip over campaign and not tabs, but that's not a reason to do one or the other. So I like to actually use all in one account. It's just easier, I think, because you can look at everything as a whole and identify, well, okay, these two countries are actually failing in this one and this one's starting to go down. So maybe you can find synergies and you can find synonyms, I guess, with all three. If you're looking at the all count, or you can just tab it over or buy 3 monitors. It's the same thing. I don't really find much overlap. Where it would overlap is if you're having like new and repeat going to different pages. But I mean, unless you have a person that's buying in the UK, all of a sudden just flops over to the US and buys throughout the brand, you're wondering why brand's increasing. That's not going to happen. It's going to happen like once, maybe. So it's not really a bad issue. How much do you charge for consulting and if solutions that offer it? Yep, we do actually. It's kind of me personally. And I'm not going to hold anybody. I'm not going to charge it. It's $2,500 an hour. And it's an hour with me. We do a preliminary call. I hop in, you share me exactly what the issue is. I go back, I do it, and then I come back and for an hour I present the changes I make and what and how and why. It's $2,500. It's that much because that's what we already have consulting clients on, and it's unfair for me to start undercutting them. But I don't have an issue if it's not the same. If I need to reduce it because it's not exactly what I'm doing consulting on for other clients, that's okay. I have clients that do spend less, but they're also sometimes just a more generic call once a month as a quick check-in. So all that stuff is available. and I hate that amount of money. It's just if you're spending 100 grand, sometimes an hour with me can help a lot, and that's just how they put my fees. So I hate it. I'm sorry. I don't like charging that much an hour. It just makes me feel like a pompous idiot. But it's just because of the value, I guess. Um, Dave says, if you have to ask, John, do you happen to know the cost of Ship Hero off the top of your head? No, but I can find it pretty quickly. Give me one moment. Ship Hero, this here, pricing, e-commerce fulfillment. Let's see here. I think it was like $99 a month for the majority. Okay, here we go. This is their warehouse management system. I think it's like for just the Ship Here for, I think it's like the 100 or 200. If you want warehouse management, then it's like $2,000 a month. But I think it's, I think it was only about $100 or 150, I think, because you need one user and it was $150 a user. So don't quote me on that one, but that's what I think. It's not too expensive, but they have pricing tiers that are really high up because it's like, hey, if you want us to do your 3POs, then yeah, then it gets expensive. I do it for $3,000 per hour, and I just hire John and pocket 500. There you go. There's a businessman right there, Dave. Is there a sign-up sheet on the Solite website? Dave is a real businessman here. Yeah. No, you can go to johnmoran.me. So John Moran, JohnMoran.me. And that contact goes right to me there. Cool. Then we're coming right up on time. Hopefully you guys all learned something in terms of identifying the fallacies in Google Ads and how to correct it and how to identify what's working, what's not. And then also, just some Q&A stuff. So I'm going to hop off. Really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for your time today. And